Hello and welcome to another episode of Tri Talk. Today we have another special guest planned for you guys. Today with us is Anna Zehnder. Anna, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
My co-host with me today, as ever, is
Aneta Gravner Soldati. Welcome.
Anna is a top six performer this year at the World Cup. She's really, in my mind, she's the hottest name on the market. She's somebody who's really progressed incredibly well, and I certainly didn't see it coming. I don't know if she did. She's put some incredible results on the board. She finished fourth overall this season, and her best results this year was a third place in Canada and Quebec in the short track. I wouldn't say, Anna, that maybe, unlike Scott, who we had on the podcast previously, I wouldn't say that necessarily the short track or the full distance benefit you. I don't know if you would agree with that statement, but you're kind of a pretty well-rounded athlete. You swim incredibly well. You run unbelievably well. The bike, I would say, and you would probably agree with me, is probably maybe your weakest discipline. That's something you can probably work on for the future. It's an easy thing to improve upon, relatively, I would say. But that's just an overview for our listeners so that they know who we're dealing with. Anna, could you introduce yourself to anybody who may not have heard of you?
Yeah, hi, my name is Anna Zehnder. I'm from Switzerland. I grew up near the capital in Bern and now live in Basel, close to France and Germany. And I train in Switzerland mainly with a local triathlon club. I studied medicine and finished my studies in 2021. And from then on, I've been focusing on professional sports. And I mean, I have some side hustles, but it's mainly sports.
Just to demonstrate Anna's progress, she did the first cross triathlon in 2022. Am I right? International one.
What are you seeing? I think 2021. I did one. Was it 21 Bilbao?
I think it was 22, if I found it right.
Maybe 22. Yeah, one of these years. Yeah.
So the ETU European Championship finished fourth, beaten, for example, Marta Mendito. Last year.
That's pretty good.
Last year she finished second, beating me, for example. And this year she won. So that's quite a progress. Starting the sport in 2021, 2022, and being a European Championship this year. But what have you done before that? Before you started with triathlon, what's your background?
I mean, growing up, my parents would always take me mountain biking. I used to do like kids bike trainings every Monday because my aunt, she used to be a pro mountain biker and she was a world champ in the 90s. So I had to start mountain biking. But I stopped after that. I didn't pursue a career in mountain biking. As you now see, I'm lacking skill and fitness in that sport most. And then I took up rowing. I was a rower for a couple of years. And then like during my college years or high school years, I don't know what you call it in English, I did rowing. I did a lot of training. I did competitions, international and Swiss based. And then when I went on a gap year to Australia, I stopped rowing and I came back to running and cycling a bit. We did some open water swims in Australia. And then when I came back to study in Basel, I was like, maybe I should give triathlon a try because I've always found this sport pretty fascinating. Because in like my 7th year at school, we had a guy who was doing triathlon. And I was like, oh my God, this guy is so fit. At like 14, he could swim a kilometer in like 15 minutes, and I was super impressed. So I started training for triathlon in 2016, but just like with plans from the internet, training with a friend. He also did medicine and was like, I want to do an Ironman at some point. Do you want to? He actually was like, do you want to join me for a 70.3? And I was like, yeah, sure. Can't be that bad. So I did that. in 2017. And then I got like a roll down slot for 70.3 Worlds. And I went there. And it was, I got my ass kicked, but it was fun. And then the next year, the same guy came like, do you want to do an Ironman with me? And I was like, sure. So I did that in 2018. But it was just to finish and for fun. And then, as you said, in 2021, I did my first like local cross triathlon. Actually, it was XTERRA Switzerland, the light race, like the short one. And then 2022, the European champs. And all along, I was racing on the road with, like, my club is mainly a road triathlon club. So yeah, we race sprint and Olympic distance, or it's like a specialized club for that. And I did that on the side, and also duathlon, because my coach thought duathlon would be like a good platform to start international racing, because it's a bit easier to get in and to get spots. And yeah, that's my journey kind of. And last year I really wanted to give XTERRA a go, also the World Cup, but I unfortunately broke my ankle in Ibiza at ETU or ITU World Championships. So yeah, plans went
This
down the
is
drain.
incredible journey. And I want to say, like, we hang out with the same kind of people in XTERRA. We spent some time this year together. And I did not know half of the things you just said. Like, I read you, I read your article on XTERRA website where you share some of these things, but you are not the kind of person that likes to talk about yourself.
I mean, it's always, I know stuff about myself, so for me it's more interesting to listen to other people. And with the boys, we mainly talk stupid things. And I mean, when you're at races, there's not so much time. I normally arrive pretty late before races due to I'm still working part-time. So yeah, I don't have the luxury to just arrive, I don't know, 2 weeks before in Taiwan and just chit chat and hang around with people. So I get there, I focus on the race, practice the course, and then it's go time. So yeah.
Yeah, no, so we have something in common. I also don't like
Yeah.
to travel too soon. But I'm really interested in your decision to take triathlon as a professional career. You studied medicine, you mentioned that.
Yeah.
That must have been quite a big decision to take a break from that kind of career and focus on sport.
Yes and no. I mean, the hard thing is to know that going back into medicine will be so tough, because yeah, you lose a bit of knowledge. I have not yet worked in my profession, so I will be a complete novice and super inexperienced with like a gap of I don't know how many years in between before I start work. But it was also like a now or never thing, because I mean, we can do triathlon or professional sports only for a certain amount of time. I can be a doctor until I die in my office. So, and there is always a need for doctors. So I think if I want to work until I'm 80, I can. So, yeah. I mean, it was a risk. You guys know it. It's not. I mean, you earn way more money with being a doctor than with being an athlete. But I mean, it's an interesting journey, and I don't regret taking that path just now. So.
And you have on your website very ambitious goal of LA 2028. Is that something you aim for?
It's a bit shaky at the moment. I think had you asked me like a year or two ago, I would have said yes, absolutely. But now I find XTERRA so much fun, and the calendars normally collide a bit. And since I mean, I swim okay, but for short or sprint or Olympic distance swimming, you have to be in the front group and to get a good bike group for drafting. And I don't think I'm there yet, and I don't know if I can ever get to that level. The girls swim currently in short course triathlon, so I'm a bit uncertain. Maybe I've done some continental cups. That's the kind of the level where you have to start to gain points to be allowed to World Cups and World Series triathlon races. And I mean, I've been to Morocco and Malaysia, and I returned back home with not even a couple of points to my ranking, and that is just really frustrating. So I'm still a bit weighing off my options, and yeah, if it's worth trying again. It's just a big investment. And we have quite a good national squad in Switzerland, so it would be tough to compete against the girls who have been doing it for years. Yeah, but I'll definitely keep XTERRA ongoing next year. I am thinking about doing a 70.3 at some point again. I really like that distance, so.
For you personally,
Yeah.
what is the consideration when you're weighing these options of which races to prioritize, right? Because you just said that Xterra is fun. It's more fun. Do you find it more fulfilling personally compared to, and is that also maybe because you get maybe better results, right? And I think that really you could be a top 3 contender next year if all continues on the trajectory you're improving at. What do you weigh when you're looking at these various calendar options?
Like the thing you said is definitely something. I mean, it's more fun when you're in the mix for, I don't know, top 5 or even podium race spots in the end. Because doing sprint and Olympic now, I'm more looking at a top 30 maybe. If the field's even that big, I have to start going to funny places and funny races no one wants to go. Like the other Swiss girls don't choose. Also, I have to say, XTERRA community is just so much more fun and than like the short course community. I feel like it's a bit, yeah, everyone's doing a bit their own thing. And I mean, go to an XTERRA race and face, I don't know, whatever challenge, and you can always hit people and say, can you help me, or what would you do? And it's just so easy. And also, I feel like XTERRA, I mean, I don't want to talk bad about the Swiss Federation, but sometimes they leave you alone a bit unless you're like super, super good. And I think XTERRA is still taking care of their athletes a bit more. That makes a big difference.
That is very interesting, and actually something we were wondering about. Switzerland has a long history of very successful triathletes, both in Olympic distance triathlon, long distance triathlon, and XTERRA actually. Would you say it's a result of an individual effort, or is there a good system behind it?
I mean, I think like when you're an athlete, you start in a local triathlon club, and I think we have a lot of really good clubs in Switzerland that teach the children well. We have like swim classes for little children, and then they move up through the club system. And then I think it's a bit of individual if you move up the system. And I think once you have a level and you're like in the system and you're chosen to be like, we have A, B and C national carded, A being the best. And once you're like in the system, I think it's easier, and then you can join the training camps. You have access to the national coaches. Yeah. But I also have to say that take Nicolas Spirig and Daniela Rief. Those are like the big names now. Julie Deron, those two were Olympic medalists. They trained with Brett Sutton, who's based in the Swiss mountains. So it's also partly due to him, I think, that we have so many medalists.
Yeah. What would it take for you to get on the national squad? I know Lauren is part of it now, isn't she?
Yeah.
So what kind of results would you need to achieve to be in the consideration?
I'm not sure if she's. I have to check the list, but I don't think she's yet in the squad. But she's training with the team, and she's doing like the continental cups to gain points. So that's what I would have to do, probably be closer to the national team, train with them, go on camps with them, and then do the Continental Cups and the Swiss Road Triathlon Series. They also check your results in that for selection. We have selection days twice a year, so they do a swim test and a run test, and you have results. I think you have to be, I don't know, 250 in the world to be in like the third level of like C Kader, the third level of Kader or national team. So you can qualify either via international racing, and I think that's what Loan is doing, or meeting the time limits in running and swimming. So yeah.
What are the time limits in running and swimming? Could you give? Is that internal information that you're not allowed to leak?
Nah, I mean you can look that up online. So I think for a 400 meters swim in a 50-meter pool, you have to swim it in 4:45 or something. So it's really fast. And a 5K, I don't even know that. I know that as a woman, you have to be able to, or you can choose between 400 meters and 5K run, or 800 meter swim and 10K run. And for the 10K, it's like a sub, I don't know, 35 or 34 times. So really, really fast.
Well, that's the level of world triathlon, I suppose.
Yeah. And I mean, it's not, maybe at my age you have to hit those times, but normally it's like a gradual thing. If you're like closer, you get more points, and if you're a bit off but are a fast swimmer, you get like a, how do you say that? They add your points and then give you a score, and then they place you somewhere.
But do you get any support for racing XTERRA or cross triathlon championships?
From a federation, no. No.
We seem to be very lucky in the Czech Republic, because we do receive some kind of financial support depending on your results.
That's nice.
But I have spoken to a couple of people, and I don't think there is other federation that does that.
Yeah, no, that's really great if you get that. It's amazing. I mean, for duathlon, if you race a certain amount of races in the year and then place overall at the end of the year, you have a certain place within Switzerland, you get some prize money. I also got like a prize bonus for the European title in cross triathlon, so it's small things like that. But
you're racing a lot.
Yeah, I loved it.
I have counted on your website 12 races, but I'm sure there are more this year.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, maybe 12 destinations.
Might be, yes.
Because, I mean, XTERRA, sometimes it's 2 races. Portugal was 3 for the European Championships. So, and then I did some local ones that sometimes I didn't put them on the website because I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to race them. And yeah, it was a full year. It was a really full year.
Is that your plan for the next year as well, to race the full World Cup and ETU, ITU World Championship, European Championship?
Approximately, yeah. I haven't done my fine tuning of the plan yet, since I don't know, but I have not heard of the official World Cup rules from XTERRA. So, and then when I was old enough to go out for little runs myself, and I was motivated enough because as a child you don't like doing things your parents tell you to do, so like hikes and everything, you just have to go. But at some point it got to me that I really liked running, so I went out for little runs. During my time as a rower, we always had in winter the alternative training of running every Monday, and it was actually my favorite run, like my favorite session during the winter. And I hated it because everybody was like, "Oh, let's just walk a bit, hide behind a building, and go back in an hour." And I was like, "No, I want to run the whole thing." So. And we always ran with the boys, so that was a fast run when they would actually run. Then, like, I did some years of proper, or I would call it proper run training twice a week with a running club here in Basel. And we did intervals every Tuesday and every Thursday, so that
That's a lot.
probably build some running strength. And also now in summer we have one track session every Wednesday with the triathlon club, and I do the rest of my runs for myself. I mean, you say I run fast, yes, but I'm also used to international duathlon racing, like road duathlon, and I'm one of the slower ones there. So my standard is also set really, really high. Yeah. And I just love running. I think that's the key message.
We have a set of quick fire questions. Ramble them as fast as you like. If you want to talk about them a little bit quicker, go ahead. But Aneta, I'll let you start.
If you could take another racer skill or strength, what would it be? For example, you can choose running like Luan.
Or like you.
Or like you. I take that. I
Yeah,
don't think it's decided yet.
What would you have to hear from XTERRA to commit to it, full time?
To be honest, I'm probably gonna do it anyways. Or I'll do like what I have to do to be in the World Cup and get a decent overall ranking. If I can skip like one race, I'd be happy, because I think Asia Pacific Champs is official, so I can say that this one is a World Cup stop and it's in Australia. So that's one huge journey to manage. And then there will be more international racing. So if I could skip one of the super long flights, that would be nice. But generally, I really want to do it. As you said before, Oliver, I think I can do more, and I'm really curious how next year is gonna go.
Is your aunt gonna give you some biking lessons?
Yeah, I should. But I have to say, she's like now really riding for pleasure and just really easy tours. But maybe like technical and skills she could probably teach me. But I have a friend from work. She actually recommended a guy she knows who's apparently really good in bike skills. So I contacted him, and we have yet to find a date to go on tour and test my skills.
Aneta likes to ask our guests this one question, which is, why aren't you better? But before we get to that, I would like to ask you, why are you so good? Why do you run so well? I don't understand it. You run incredibly well, and it's just mind blowing to me. Like where because you mentioned within your history, you never mentioned specific run training. You mentioned cycling, and specifically mountain bike. You mentioned swimming,
and rowing.
Yeah, and rowing, and you mentioned triathlon, but you never mentioned, oh, I was a runner, or something. And you run so unbelievably well. So
Thank you.
What's going on?
Like in running, I always liked running. I mean, my running career started when I was like, I don't know, 10 years old or even younger, and our dad would take us for a run around the house. The most fun it was when it was dark and we would like chase each other and scare each other from, I don't know, behind a corner.
Or you could swim like me, or whatever you want. You can keep all your other skills and strengths, but if you could take one more.
Right. I mean, as you guys said, it would probably be beneficial for me to have like a better bike performance. So I'd probably, I mean, does it have to be a woman's? Can I have
no.
Jens Emil's bike
Yeah,
skills?
you can, absolutely.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
You don't know, you know what? Like imagine that you actually are even stronger on a bike, which would benefit, of course, your run as well.
Yeah.
How fast would you actually run? That would be crazy. I don't want to know that.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. You guys actually said it pretty well last time. I was surprised you remembered the swim in Lake Garda, Aneta. I didn't have that so present, but it was really choppy, and you said it right. I really had a bad swim year this year. I used to swim better, and I don't know, we changed technique, and so I had a dip. So that's
But I have to say, I also swim much better than I was swimming last year, for example. And I think
Nice.
in during the last year, I had a crash just before XTERRA check, and I had bruised my ribs, and I didn't swim for the rest of the season. I would only swim in the races. So I think in Lake Garda was one of my worst swims probably ever.
And also the conditions.
Yeah, the conditions were not for swimmers. Like, I think everyone thinks that swimmers will like tough conditions. Like if the water is choppy or there is a current, like swimmers will like it because it's better for them. But it's actually very often the opposite. Like I love when the conditions, like when the water is super flat and I can use my good technique. Like I can't use my good technique if the water is choppy. You just need to have a lot of strength. And then I think it benefits actually more people that are strong but probably don't have the best technique.
Yeah.
So like Garda wasn't, yeah, it wasn't for good swimmers.
Yeah. I know that so well from rowing. I mean, the slightest wind or chop was just terrible.
Yeah,
But yeah.
but I think from rowing you gain a sense for water, so it's not as hard to learn swimming if you are switching, for example, from other sport that has nothing to do with water, right?
Yeah. I mean,
Or how?
we have this one guy in our club, and he used to play handball, and he's just an amazing swimmer. I don't get it. I don't get how, but he's super talented. So yeah.
My theory is that there is like talent for swimming, and if you have that, it doesn't cost you so much to learn swim or to swim well. And there is no amount of dedication that you can give to swimming and get to the same level.
If you like this talent,
yeah,
yeah.
I feel like there is something about swimming that you just have to have the talent for swimming.
Anyway, back to our quick fire.
Yeah, I should have you watch me swim and tell me if I have it or not.
Oh, I'm not
I'm
not a swim coach.
It's really interesting that you think that, Veronica. I think that's an interesting perspective on the matter.
Well, otherwise explain me, how do I swim so well with 6 kilometers per week average?
Yeah, I don't understand it either.
Yeah.
Don't ask me. Maybe you would swim better if you trained.
No, well, I am very dedicated to training this year, and I'm gonna swim the whole winter. So watch out.
Second question. If you had to spend the rest of your life training in one location, where would it be?
This is so hard. I heard you ask Scott this question, and he was like saying South Africa or so.
Even though he has never been there.
Yeah, that was funny. But I understand. I mean, a lot of triathletes train there. Same with Girona in Spain. And I've been thinking, I really love Switzerland. I love the seasons. I love that we have the mountains and can go, I don't know, do cross-country skiing and have a bit cooler summers up in the mountains. But yeah, if you have like not such a cold winter to stick to swim, bike and run, it would be nice as well.
You would get bored.
Probably. Yeah, I'm tempted to say Switzerland.
Yeah, that's the right answer, I would say.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, no, I support that. Like, I like to train in Switzerland as well. Especially biking is amazing. What is your favorite XTERRA memory or experience?
I'm a bit torn between first XTERRA World Championships last year. Also that I got picked as a wild card for the short track there. I was like number 30 of 30, and I had, for my standards, I had a really good race and it was fun. And the other one is, what was it again? I remember the other one. Like the podium in Quebec was amazing. That was a big one. And I think it was the first time since that race in 2022 that I beat Marta again. Because when I raced her in 2022, I beat her. And then when I saw her on the start list of my first XTERRA race, I was like, holy fuck, she is so fast. What did this woman do over, I don't know, winter or so? I was so impressed. And yeah, that was the first time I beat her again, I think this year. So it took a while.
I think we both, with Oliver, will agree that there is definitely more podiums in your future.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I think you will have the same benefit as I do. We haven't raced the XTERRA circuit for too long, so most of the destinations are new to us. And it makes such a big difference if you know the course, if you have ridden the course a few times, versus if you come to the race venue on Wednesday and you ride the course one time, you know? So I think we know that some of the destinations are going to repeat. We will probably go back to Czech Republic. We will go back to Germany, or these places, you know, where the World Cup has been and will be probably again.
Before we say our goodbyes, we had a quick little question for Anna, based on her, experience that she may be gathering, similar to Anata, as she just talked about from at all these World Cup stops. Where do you feel like, because we already talked about where you can improve, but do you feel like there is a specific area in terms of, and it ties in with what Scott talked about, but in terms of fueling, in terms of trusting the process, in terms of understanding how the race dynamics plays out, is there a specific area that you feel like you will get better at with time? Or do you feel like you're already topped up and really understand all the dynamics within the race?
Totally. That's how I became working. No, I'm kidding. I mean, you guys are so right. I can and want to and have to improve a lot on the bike, be it skills, be it strength and endurance. And I think nutrition has a lot more in it for me as well. Sometimes I'm a bit lazy and then I don't fuel enough or right. So I think I can really improve there. The experience thing, I've already felt that during the World Cup and during the season, that I've improved. Like, I learned from race to race, and you get to know different destinations, and every race you do on the mountain bike or in XTERRA, it helps you for the next one, because you learn something and then you can adapt and make it better. Or, I mean, I think tire choice is something, it's a bit of a black box. Maybe a gray box is not so bad anymore, but I think I can improve a lot on material choices and, I don't know, making my bike lighter or more aerodynamic, or maybe not on a mountain bike, but, lower my pressure, that, and also how you sit. And I think equipment-wise, I can also improve.
It's something I get so frustrated with, because I never know, so like someone who is not from the mountain bike background, like when it comes to tires and all of that, I'm complete novice. And luckily I have Solheim, so Solheim chose my tires that I've been riding this year. So,
and it seemed to work out quite well. So,
if you need any advice about tires, just reach out to Solheim Bilan. She will give you the best advice.
Yeah, I mean, I'm quite happy we ended up staying together in Oak Mountain. First of all, I haven't spoken to her before that, like, ever. And she was so nice, and it was so nice to get to know her. And she's super helpful. And for me, it was like a huge learning curve from how to prepare for a race and finding lines on the mountain bike and choosing tires and pressure and all of that. It was really interesting. Yeah.
And with that, thank you, Anna, very much for coming onto the podcast. It's been an incredible pleasure talking to you. Please follow Anna and on all her social media, and don't forget to check out our social media. Anna, is there any sponsors you would like to shout out before we end this little podcasting session that we just went through?
Yes, I would like to thank my network of sponsors, because without them my whole season wouldn't have been possible. So that's, for one, it's Rado Switzerland, a local watch brand. Then Kokuma Cafe, they fuel me with the best coffee beans there is. Then also CardioFit, they support me in training and help me with recovery. And Cross Clinic, that's where I work, and they also sponsor me with medical services, so I can go to have massages whenever I need one, and it's a lot. And also sponsor Sport Food, which is a Swiss brand of sports nutrition that I use very often for races and for training.
Perfect, Anna. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks for
Bye-bye.
having me.
See
Bye.
you.